Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Mr. Allen, The Fred Allen Show. Originally broadcast November 25th, 1945. We'll take you down the alley, and we'll hear from Leo Durocher. That's all up in this program from November 25th, 1945.
It isn't the Smiling Irishman, and I didn't drive months mad. Thanks for the gag, Rochester.
The makers of Bluebonnet Margarine and Tenderleaf Tea present The Fred Allen Show, with Fred's guests Leo Durocher, Portland Hopper, Minerva Pius as Mrs. Nussbaum, the Tenderleaf Workshop Players, the DeMarco Sisters, and Al Goodman and his orchestra. And in case you're doing your Christmas shopping early, my name is Kenny Delmar. Last Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, an Army Air Force crew completed a record-breaking non-stop flight from Guam to Washington, D.C. in a B-29. Tonight we bring you a man who will never again B-29, and here he is, Fred Allen.
Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And Kenny, I had the misfortune to overhear that joke there. A man who will never again be 29. You are sharp tonight, Kenny.
Oh, thank you, Fred.
You are as sharp as either end of a butterball on a warm day. But I read about that flight from Guam to Washington. Those AAF boys broke the non-stop, non-fueling record.
Yeah, well, who held the old record?
The old record was held by Superman, Kenny.
Superman?
Yes, when Superman flew, he was handicapped by adverse weather conditions. He got caught in a storm, as I remember, over Alaska. Ice formed on the hem of his cape. Headwinds ripped off his jersey. His credentials were blown away.
Well, if Superman, if he landed without that big letter on the front of his jersey, how did people know who he was?
Well, Superman is a contortionist, Kenny. He made a mess of himself. For holding that record.
Mr. Allen!
Well, Portland, just in time. Say, tell me, did you enjoy your Thanksgiving dinner? And no turkey jokes, please. I heard so many turkey jokes this past week, feathers started growing out of my radio. It's molting around the antenna.
Well, Mama and I went to a hotel Thanksgiving.
Oh, for your dinner?
Yes. The chief cooked a wonderful meal.
The chief? You mean the chef, don't you?
The cook at the hotel is an Indian.
Oh, the Algonquin. Think about that. Say, you and your mother must be stepping out.
Oh, Mama has to. She's in the social swim.
Really? If your mother is in the social swim, she's going down for the third time. Your mother thinks society is something they have for the prevention of cruelty to animals.
Mama's...
Audubons. They have a society for the prevention of cruelty to Audubons, too.
Mama's going to the opera tomorrow night.
Oh, really? The riffraff getting in this season? That's right. The Met is opening this week. All the big opera stars will be back here in town. Lawrence Melchior, Lily Pons, Singing Sam, Andy Russell. Is your mother going formal? Is she wearing her mink knickers?
Mama's wearing her new backless evening gown.
Oh, backless?
Uh-huh. She wants to show off her new tattoo.
Tattoo?
On Mama's back, it says, "Buy Victory Bonds."
Oh, boy. Some slogan.
Oh, it works out swell.
Well, how do you mean?
Between her shoulder blades, Mama has a little mole.
And?
In the word victory,
yeah,
the mole dots the I.
The mole and the magnet Imagine the mole knowing that much about grammar. Well, with your mother, if it ever gets low someday, it'll be a comma. But with your mother's shoulder blades, the whole thing must be in parentheses. And speaking of parentheses, your mother is a parent, and this is a good time to start for Alan's Alley.
What is your question for tonight?
Well, Portland, this past week, President Truman recommended a 5-point national health program to provide free medical care for the nation's sick. And so our question tonight is, what is your reaction to the president's health plan?
Shall we go?
As one glutton said to the other glutton, let's cram. Well, here we are, regardless of the traffic. Here we are back in Allen's Alley, Portland. I'll see if Senator Claghorn is in.
Somebody knock. Claghorn's the name, Senator Claghorn, that is.
I know you.
I'm from Dixie.
Now, look,
Thanksgiving, that is. I only ate the part of the turkey that's facing south.
Senator, I know you're from the South.
And no man living can make me wear a union suit.
If you don't want underwear, don't...
What's on your mind, son? Speak up.
Well, if you give me half...
This is America, son. You got free speech.
I'm trying to exercise...
Well, go ahead and talk, son. Don't wait to be prodded. Prodded, that is.
Look, and I know what prodded is. Now, just inhale for a second there, Senator, and answer this question. How does Washington feel about the president's health program?
Now listen to this, son.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste any more here. We had a big debate in Congress. Somebody was running down Senator Hill. Running downhill, that's a joke, son.
I know it's a joke.
When you hear something funny, laugh, son.
Well,
I know I wasted another one on you. Now admit it, son, you ain't much of a wit.
Look, Senator, what do you think will happen if the government provides money for our medical care?
Things will boom, son.
Well, how do you mean things will boom, Senator?
If people can get paid for being sick, they'll all lay down.
I see.
With 130 million Americans flat on their backs,
yes,
things will be looking up. Up, that is. I just thought of something. Remember Stonewall Jackson?
I'll keep him in mind. Well, that takes care. I like to stake Stonewall apart and throw a rock at a time at the senator. Well, now let's see what's on Titus Moody's mind tonight.
Howdy, Bob.
Well, Mr. Moody, frankly, you look a little tousled tonight.
I just got up.
You were in bed all day?
No, I fell down. I just got up.
Well, tell me, Mr. Moody, what do you think of the president's new health program?
I could have used it 40 years ago.
Oh, you mean as a baby you were sickly?
Yeah, doctor said I was anemic.
Oh, you had no blood?
If a mosquito lit on me, he was wasting his time.
Gosh.
If I cut my finger...
The cut wouldn't bleed?
To just hiss a little and pucker.
How did they cure you?
Every day the doctor give me a shot in the arm.
And all these shots?
When I was 5 years old, I was all shot to health.
Good. And you haven't seen a doctor since?
You know the old saying, Bob, a duck a day.
Oh, no, you mean an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
I eat a duck a day.
A duck?
My doctor's a quack. So long, Bob.
Well, Mr. Moody looks as though he's been eating decoys. Well, let's try this next house.
No.
Oh, Mrs. Nussbaum.
You were expecting maybe Catherine Slapburn.
Now, tell me, Mrs. Nussbaum, are you happy about the president's plan for free medical care?
Coming a little closer, I'm having a secret.
Oh, a secret, huh? Another atom bomb?
Another news bomb.
You mean...
Already teensy-weensy garments I am crotcheting.
Oh, yeah. You're crotcheting the garments.
And little bootses I'm buying.
Little bootses.
Didies I'm cutting. Lullabies I'm lining. Rockabye.
Now, look, just let me interrupt your hit parade for a second there. Is your husband, Pierre, making plans, too?
Then the Stark is flying in for a landing.
Yes?
Pierre is standing by to shout, Roger!
Roger. Well, you have no doctor's bills to pay.
This is giving Pierre an idea to naming the baby.
Oh, you're naming the baby in honor of the president's plan?
The government is paying.
Yeah?
Pierre is calling the baby Shingle.
Shingle? Why?
This one is on the house.
Oh. Well, that brings us to the last shack in Allen's Alley. Let's see what a knock here will do.
Hello, Mr. Allen.
Why, it's the 5 DeMarco sisters. What are you kids doing here in McGee and McGee's house?
We're rehearsing our song in the middle of May. May, that is.
Well, let's see. Claghorn's children, huh? Well, let's see how the middle of May sounds now at the end of November, all right?
November 25th, 1945, The Fred Allen Show on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We're listening to an episode this hour of The Fred Allen Show as it was broadcast on November 25th, 1945.
Al Goodman and his synopsis symphonists have tried to play No Can Do, and it came out No Can Do as well. Yes, Portland, you wanted something?
I brought you an aspirin. You look all in.
Oh, I am partly in. It's that Christmas shopping.
Have you finished yours?
Yes, I bought my relatives a case of bluebonnet margarine.
One case of margarine for 20 relatives?
They can spread it among them. It's spread, you know.
Did you buy anything for me, I hope?
Well, that's what started all my trouble, Portland. I went into Tiffany's. You know, it's always so quiet at Tiffany's. The atmosphere is so refined. Well, I was standing at the lavalier counter browsing. 6 Pinkerton men were holding my arm. At the next counter, suddenly I heard an argument. The salesman was saying...
I'm sorry, sir. I can't take. Listen, you meathead. If you lay a hand on me... I'll pull your nose down your face so fast you'll think it's a zipper.
Leo Durocher. Leo, what's the trouble?
I came in here to buy some cufflinks.
And I refuse to take his money. No good.
You're nuts. I've been spending this money for the last 2 months. Look at these bills, Fred.
Leo, this is Japanese occupation money.
I know. I'm loaded with it. I'm yen happy.
Say, that's right. I read that you and Danny Kaye spent 2 months entertaining our boys in Japan. How was your trip?
Wonderful, Fred. We flew over 32,000 miles to Manila, Guam, Kwajalein, Okinawa, Yokohama, Tokyo, and Korea.
Say, did you see that city where the first atomic bomb was dropped?
Yes, Fred. We flew over Hiroshima for about half an hour.
It was a shambles, huh?
A shambles? It looked like Ebbets Field after a doubleheader with the Giants.
Well, what about that city where the second bomb landed, Nagasaki?
You know that old song, Back in Nagasaki, where the fellows chew tobacco?
You mean in Nagasaki?
They haven't even got a cuspidor left.
Tell me, did you see General MacArthur over there?
Yes, Danny and I saw General MacArthur in Tokyo.
What did the general say?
He just said hello and went back to adding up his points.
Did you meet any of your Dodger players on the trip?
Yes, I did. I saw Kirby Higbee, one of my pitchers in Manila, and Rube Melton hitchhiked 150 miles to visit me in Tokyo.
No kidding. I guess you ran into a lot of Dodger fans with the GIs, too.
You'll find Dodger fans all over the world, Fred. I met them everywhere. They're great guys.
Well, now that you're back, Leo, I suppose you're going to take it easy?
No, Fred. I'm going to start worrying about the team for next season.
Leo, every season you worry. For what? Why don't you give up baseball?
Give up baseball? What will I do? I'm too old for radar.
Why, you've just finished entertaining hundreds of thousands of GIs. You can go into the theater.
Who wants to be a stagehand?
What stagehand? You can be a star. Why, I'll put you in my show.
Your show?
Leo, I have written a new opera. It's based on Pinafore.
I've seen a lot of Pinafores on Broadway. The Hot Pinafore, Hollywood Pinafore, Memphis Bound was Pinafore.
I know, Leo, but my show is different.
What is it called?
The Brooklyn Pinafore. And you will be the star, Leo.
But Fred...
Look, the Brooklyn Pinafore starring Leo Durocher. The first scene in my opera is the bleachers at Ebbets Field. It's the big game between the Giants and the Dodgers. Brooklyn rooters are sitting around in their underwear. Ushers are running up and down the aisles with rocks looking for Giant fans. Peddlers are going through the stands selling raw meat sandwiches for the kiddies. And as the curtain rises, we have the opening chorus. The bleachers sing...
Choipin'. We throw bottles from the stands, and from soda pop we're poipin'. When the Dodgers are flops, we start blowing our tops. To the Giants we'll never yield. When the Blums finally score, we cut loose with a roar to the rafters of Ebbets Field. Ahoy, ahoy, them bums, we're loyal to our Dodgers, ahoy.
Leo, the Dodger team runs out on the field. The stands break into a cheer. Flatbush, Greenford, Thorough, Hall. Who's the team with something on the ball? Dodgers! Dodgers! D-O-J-E-R-S! Dodgers! And then, Leo, you run out of the dugout.
I come on?
Yes, Leo. You stand right near home plate. The rest of the team kneels around you in a semicircle. The infielders have lavender bats. The outfielders have mandolins with mother-of-pearl picks. The crowd quiets down as you step up to the microphone and sing.
I am the captain of the Dodger team,
and a right good captain he.
I am quiet and subdued, and they say a little crude, but I frighten rather easily.
He is quiet and subdued, and they say a little crude, but he frightens rather easily.
Bad language and abuse I never use. No one do I intentionally irk, though heavens I may occasionally say, I never call an umpire jerk.
What, never?
No, never.
What, never?
Well, hardly ever.
He's never called an umpire jerk. So, give a cheer and give a shout for the Dodger captain with a big loud mouth. So give a cheer and give a shout for the Dodger captain with a big loud mouth.
That was great. Great, Leo. If Rudy Valley is listening in, he'll never know another good night's sleep.
What happens next, Fred?
Well, now, Leo, comes your big love scene. The game starts, and as you're standing in front of the dugout, something hits you on the ear.
A pop bottle?
No, Leo. It's a rose. Someone has thrown a rose.
At Ebbets Field?
Well, this is a fantasy, Leo. You look up, and there she stands, the beautiful mystery girl. She speaks.
me to trim the rose, Leo.
Mystery girl, you're back.
Yeah, I come to wish you luck against the Giants, Leo.
You bring a message, fair one?
Yeah, Leo. Go out and light them slugs!
Mystery girl, I cannot conceal my love for you any longer.
Please, Leo.
You don't love me?
Love you, Lippy. I'm carrying a torch for you that could light up 2 night games.
Then why won't you marry me?
You gotta get me old man's okay, and that's gonna be tough.
Well, who was your father? Mystery girl, who are you?
And you'll find out after the break. November 25th, 1945, The Fred Allen Show. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Fred Allen Show, November 25th, 1945.
You want to know who I am? Okay, I'll tell you. I'm called Little Bobby Socks, sweet Little Bobby Socks. My heart for you, Lippy, could voice. Before you make me your mate, let's get this one fact straight. Frankie Sinatra comes first. I'm sweet little Bobby Socks, dear little Bobby Socks, but I'm not getting younger, you see. Too long I have tarried, but since Frankie's married, it's Lippy Durocher for me.
Leo, that love scene will make people forget Mr. Anthony and Cleopatra. Wallace Beery and Marjorie Main couldn't have done it any better.
Well, what's the next scene, Fred?
Now it's the big climax, Leo. Get this picture. It's the last half of the 9th inning. 2 men out. The crowd is going crazy. You step up to the plate. I'm the umpire behind the plate. We hear Red Barber over the loudspeaker saying,
What a game, folks. Leo Durocher's at bat. Leo is the Dodgers' only hope. 1 run can tie the game. The crowd is tense. Cockeye Allen, the umpire, yells,
Play ball!
There's the pitch. Durocher swings. It looks like a home run, ladies and gentlemen. Leo is rounding first base. He's around second, around third. He's heading for home. The ball is coming in. Leo's going to strike.
You're out!
Out! Why, you lardhead, I was safe a mile.
Quiet, you. I'll knock you flatter than your singing voice.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'll slap your head up into a point, and then I'll round it off.
Says who?
Says me.
I'll pull that big tongue of yours out so far you'll think you're wearing a red muffler.
Yeah, you fat as mustache.
Your sister's sideburns.
Ah, your grandmother's goatee.
Your Aunt's Van Dyke. I said you're out. The game is over. The Dodgers lose.
Oh, yeah? I'll beat your brains out. Give me that bat.
Halt! Cease!
Little Bobby Sock. You.
Put down the bat, Lippy.
But it's only Cockeye Allen, the umpire.
He is also your future father-in-law.
Mystery girl, you mean that...
Cockeye Allen's my old man.
What's the meaning of this, Bobby Sox?
Leo wants to marry me, Cockeye, don't you, Leo?
Me marry an umpire's daughter? They'll throw me out of who's who.
You'll forgive Cockeye, won't you, Lippy?
Well, if you say so, Bobby Sox. Shake hands, Cockeye.
At last, an umpire hears a kind word in Brooklyn. I may be an umpire, Leo, but I ain't really a bad guy.
I know, Cockeye, but with those thick glasses, how did you ever become an umpire?
I'll tell you the whole sad story, Leo.
When I was a lad, I could not see a hand held up in front of me. In spite of how I squint and peer, I couldn't tell my father from my mother dear. My eyes were oh so very, very weak, but now I am an umpire in the National League.
His eyes were oh so very, very weak, but now he is an umpire in the National League.
As the years went by, I grew up a schnook. My eyes were so bad I couldn't read a book. The army took me, but they sent me back. I tried to kiss the general because I thought he was a whack. I'm still half blind with no physique. That's why I'm an umpire in the National League.
He's still half blind with no physique. That's why he is an umpire in the National League.
As an umpire, I gained great fame. I called a player out who wasn't in the game. Another decision which you may have heard, I'm the guy who made Greenberg stay on third. My life is a failure, I'm up the creek. That's why I'm an umpire in the National League.
His life is a failure, he's up the creek. That's why he is an umpire in the National League.
And then there's a happy ending, Leo. I give you permission to marry my daughter, Bobby Sox, and the entire ensemble joins in the big finale.
All of Brooklyn's feeling blue, 'cause the roaches getting wet. To an umpire's daughter who he needs like a hole in the head.
With me as Lippy's wife for the rest of our life, we can fill and cool.
But before you take her hand, you must first understand, I'll get no more lip from you. Swear never, no never, what never? Well, hardly ever. My lip I will button up when you say batter up, even though games you will rob. I'll be ever discreet, so tender, so sweet, and soon I'll be out of a job.
So give 3 cheers and 1 cheer more for the Dodger captain who won't talk no more. So give 3 cheers and 1 cheer more for this concludes the Brooklyn Pinafore.
Oh, parodying the HMS Pinafore, the Brooklyn Pinafore, the Fred Allen Show, November 25th, 1945, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 5 of the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Amy Bradshaw Matter. This episode originally broadcast November 25th, 1955.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
It's Amy Bradshaw, Johnny.
Amy, it's 1 a.m. Anything the matter?
Yes, can you come over right away?
Sure. Your apartment?
No, I'm in my dressing room at the Criterion Theater.
At 1 o'clock in the... Amy, there's a policeman assigned to you. Is he with you?
No, I went out the back way. I came over here alone.
But why? He's supposed to be protecting you.
Johnny, I can't explain now, but I think I finally know who's been trying to kill me. I want to talk to you right away over here. Hurry. Please
hurry. Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. New York City, expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar. To the Home Office, Northwestern Indemnity Alliance, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Amy Bradshaw matter. Expense account item 12, $5. Taxi from my hotel to the Criterion Theater on West 44th. $2 for the fare, $3 for getting me there in 5 minutes. Amy had sounded plenty scared over the phone. The cab skidded to a stop in front. I caught a glimpse of somebody at the other corner of the theater. It looked like Porter Kane. I couldn't be sure, and I didn't have time to find out right now. Backstage, it was quite dark, and I had to feel my way through some... The shot came from the direction of Amy's dressing room. Mike Pomeroy, her agent, was lying on the floor, dead. There was a gun on the floor, too, just inside the door.
Johnny! Oh, Johnny!
What happened, Amy? Amy, stop it! Tell me what happened.
The door.
Door?
The shot. It came from the door.
I ran outside the dressing room, across the stage, into the alley. No one in sight. Back inside, I found a light switch. So I phoned Al Centella at police headquarters, told him what had happened. Amy was quieter now.
Johnny.
Amy, look. I know it's tough for you to talk right now, but you've got to try and tell me.
I know. A little after midnight, Mike called me at my apartment. He said he wanted to talk to me about something important. His office is nearby, and he asked me to meet him here in my dressing room. So I came over right away.
Go on.
Mike and I started talking. Suddenly I saw the door opening a crack. A hand with a gun. Mike.
Easy.
Mike saw it, too. He dove in between me and the door.
And collected the slug.
He fell against the door and it slammed on the hand. The gun dropped. And the next thing I remember, you were in the room.
You didn't see who was holding the gun?
No, just the hand.
Amy.
And there was something on one of the fingers that I recognized.
A large signet ring?
Yes.
Yeah. It belonged to the guy out on the sidewalk. Porter Kane. Lieutenant Centella arrived at Amy's dressing room, and Amy repeated her story to him. He sent a couple of his boys out to pick up Porter Kane. Alan, Amy, and I went down to headquarters. We left her in one room while we went into another to question Kane, who'd been picked up at his apartment.
See here, Lieutenant, I don't know what this is all about, but I certainly object to being routed out.
Just hold it, Kane. You know why you're down here.
I certainly do not.
You don't know that Mike Pomeroy's dead, eh?
Amy's agent? Really?
Really?
Well, I never did like that chap. Quite an insensitive person.
Well, he's real insensitive now, Kane. He's dead.
How did it happen?
Mike was shot by mistake. The real target was Amy.
Good heavens, no.
When's the last time you saw Amy?
The night before last. I spoke to her briefly after the show.
You haven't talked to her on the telephone?
No.
You're lying.
Now, see here,
you
Dollar.
phoned her at her apartment about 11 p.m. I was there.
All right. I did telephone her. I suggested she meet me somewhere. I told her I'd wait for her outside her apartment.
Go on.
I saw her come out later by the alley, so I followed her to the theater, thinking she meant for us to talk there. But then I heard a shot.
So you admit being in the vicinity?
Well, yes, but I definitely did not go into the theater.
Didn't you? Kane, Amy got a look at the hand holding the gun. There was a ring on one of the fingers.
Ring?
Your ring.
She's completely mistaken.
That's a very distinctive ring. It's not one that anybody be mistaken about.
See here, Lieutenant, all of this wild supposition is based on the assumption that I had a motive for wanting to kill Amy.
You told me what your motive was when I talked to you last evening in your apartment.
What do you mean?
I asked you what you'd do if you wanted something for your collection and couldn't get it. You told me a story about what happened when you were just a kid, 9 years old.
But I say
Another
that...
kid had a lollipop you wanted. He wouldn't give it to you, so you smashed it. And that's what you were trying to do tonight in Amy's dressing room. You couldn't have her, so you tried to smash her. There wasn't much point in my hanging around. So I got Al Centella's permission to take Amy back to her apartment. We could wait there for any new developments. Amy didn't say a word all the way. When we got there, she sat in a chair staring at the wall. When she finally spoke, it was more like she was talking to herself.
He's dead.
Amy.
He's dead because of me.
Stop talking that way. Mike Pomeroy jumped in the way of a bullet. If he hadn't, you'd be dead.
Would have been better that way.
Stop it, Amy.
Johnny?
Yeah.
I think...
You think what? Oh, just a minute. I'll get it. It was Al Centella down at police headquarters. When he finished talking, I didn't say anything. There wasn't anything to say. After I hung up, I stood there a moment, staring out the window. It had started to rain. I felt old and tired and empty and sick. I went back into the other room again. Amy was sitting there looking at me.
Johnny?
Yeah, Amy?
Was that call for me?
No.
Who was it?
Lieutenant Scintilla.
Oh.
The gun that killed Mike Pomeroy. There were no fingerprints on it. You said you saw a bare hand with a ring on it holding the gun. A bare hand would have left fingerprints. You killed him, didn't you?
Yes, Johnny.
The attempts on your life, you faked them, didn't you, to convince people you were in danger so you could kill Pomeroy and we'd think the shot was intended for you. Why, Amy?
You know why.
Yeah, I guess so. You loved Mike. You knew he was growing away from you.
So fast. So very fast.
You saw him get interested in a younger actress. You knew she was taking your place with him.
To Mike, I was dead. I couldn't stand that. I really couldn't. So I started making it look like I was in danger. It wasn't very hard, Johnny. I'm a good actress.
Yeah.
After a while, I almost began to believe I was in danger. Something was after me, was hunting me. It finally caught up with me, and I did what I did. Which of us is the hunter, Johnny? And which is the hunted?
Amy?
Yes.
I think one of Lieutenant Scintilla's men is waiting for you out in the hall.
All right. Just one thing, Johnny.
What is it?
I'll need something now. Something. Don't forget me, Johnny. Give me that.
That you can count on, Amy. She walked out of the room, and she didn't look back. I'm glad she didn't. Expense account item 13, $16.50. Transportation and incidentals from New York back to Hartford. Expense account total, $185.20. End of account, end of report. Remarks? Amy repeated her confession to Lieutenant Scintilla. Her trial's coming up soon. Sweet case. Well, tomorrow's another day. So they tell me. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about next week's exciting story.
Next week, a case with a great big question mark. Accident? Suicide? Or just plain murder? Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Robert Reif, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in this week's cast were Virginia Gregg, Florence Walcott, Don Diamond, Larry Thor, Vic Perrin, and Carlton Young. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is Roy Rowan speaking.
November 25th, 1955, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A reminder that my friend Ted at RadioMemories.com provides a lot of our yours truly, Johnny Dollar programs. He supplies a lot of shows on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. He's just finished a big restoration project, so he has a lot of additional shows available for you. Go visit Ted at RadioMemories.com. That's RadioMemories.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chief hope of our enemies is to divide the United States along racial and religious lines and thereby conquer us. Let's not spread prejudice. A divided America is a weak America. Through our behavior, we encourage the respect of our children and make them better neighbors to all races and religions. Remind them that being good neighbors has helped make our country great and kept her free. Thank you.
Daily, the broadcasts of Radio Free Europe and Radio Free Asia strike through the Iron Curtain, bringing the truth about the free world to the captive peoples behind it. Help send a message by giving to the 1952 Crusade for Freedom.
And a reminder, if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single episode of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. You can find our shows anytime at my webpage, classicradio.stream. Stream our shows, learn more about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me there. You can find our social media links. And if you'd like to help support the growth of this program, you can buy me a coffee. That Buy Me a Coffee money goes toward us acquiring additional classic radio theater programs for us to bring to you here on your favorite radio station. That's classicradio.stream. Please take a moment to thank this radio station and support their advertisers. But the best thing you can do is tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.